Shall we?
We shall.
Okay.
So, Robert,
Hey, what's up?
thanks for coming today. I'm excited to talk to you a little bit more about Home Studio Simplified
Awesome.
and get the lowdown on all that and what's going on with it. And honestly, hopefully just tell a lot more people about it because I think it's awesome what you're doing right now. So just give me just a little overview of so it's a YouTube channel, Home Studio Simplified.
Yes.
Obviously based around audio recording.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, sure. So it's probably a little bit over 10 years ago now. I started recording, mixing, and mastering my own music in my home studio. And I got online, and when you're new into anything, you find the forums, you find the groups, you know. And at that time, there was a specific forum, which is now will remain nameless. It used to be one thing, it's changed to another. People who are listening to this that are in audio will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
It was notorious for just slaying people.
Oh, yeah.
So I got on there and asked a simple question: how do I record X, Y, and Z? How do I get it to sound good? And it came back, basically, you're an idiot. You need to buy, the only way to do that is to buy a $4,000 microphone.
Yeah.
You need to have a $16,000 this. And I was like, I think there's probably a better way to answer it, for one, and for two, that's probably not even the best answer that I needed. So
Yeah.
after navigating through sort of those pitfalls, I found a couple of different places where I was like, I'm really gravitating to these people. Graham Cochran of the Recording Revolution was a huge proponent in me getting started, and a Christian as well. I love the fact that he was very open about his beliefs.
Sure.
And but then, like, the more I started finding out about these different people that were actually doing this, my recordings, imagine that, are actually sounding better. My stuff was getting there to sounding really good. And then I had friends like, hey, if you did that for you, can you do it for me? And sort of the same backstory as a lot of these people that started this.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
It was like a supply and demand thing. So
Yeah.
instead of answering the question of 150 people all the time going, how did you record that acoustic guitar? How did you do this? I was like, you know what? I'm going to create a website around that, call it Home Studio Simplified, and I'm actually going to do my best to, in contrast to what the other nameless forum was, I'm going to actually simplify the whole process. So instead of being like, in order to run a compressor, you have to first adjust the radiation attenuation, which is provided by a 4.2 centimeter layer of monocrystal beryllium silicate infused with semiferrous polycarbonate cores. Now that in turn is going to cause your audio to run into a reverse magnetic wave spectrum. And then I was like, just turn these couple of knobs.
Just tell me what to do.
Right. Just turn these couple of knobs.
Yeah.
And here's how a compressor works. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Now run with it. And people gravitated to it. To my astonishment, the website did not take off quite as much as I'd hoped. It was mainly just, all the friends that were asking me, my mom, and, people like that. And then I was like, this needs a video aspect. So that's when the YouTube channel came into it. And then I'm like, I love talking. Obviously, this intro that I'm telling you about has went on forever. But
That's good.
and I was enamored by talking. So I was like, I'm going to create a podcast. So, it just all sort of started formulating around this self-same goal of really just, my tagline on my channel is pretty much, well, I have two, but the first sort of introduction, if someone's brand new, is I'll tell them we are simplifying the complexities of the home studio and helping you to make professional sounding music in a less than professional space. That's my entire goal, is to help people do just that.
Yeah.
And then secondarily, what happened after COVID and all of this stuff with people being on lockdown, I saw this need to really bring a community together and have music to focus on during that time of unrest. And just everybody was just, stir crazy, myself included. Cabin fever's real.
Yeah, I think everybody was.
And, so I was like, I'm going to start having some monthly song contests on the channel. That's kept going now and probably will indefinitely. And so from that, this secondary thing just kind of sprung up from the community of dream, create, achieve. And it's all about, we all have dreams and we all love to create. And we all want to achieve those dreams that we've created. But it's like, how do you go about that? And what I noticed is, and one of the things that I really started pushing on my channel was, if you can find mentors or you can find a community, a group of people that are like-minded, that love doing what you're doing, it's going to help you tremendously, because I have probably learned more on my channel from other people than I've ever taught. And just by teaching some things that I think are just common knowledge, I end up learning from that as well by teaching. So it's like,
Yeah.
and I love teaching. I love instructing and mentoring people. So from that, it sort of blossomed into this thing that now every video has to end this way or else people get mad at me. I always,
The beauty of YouTube, the comments.
I always have to end it by saying, we can dream alone, we can even create alone, but together we can achieve so much more. And so that's sort of the encapsulation of.
Sounds like a political campaign.
It really does, doesn't it?
Next up, Robert runs for president.
I don't want to brag or anything, but
Yep.
yeah, I don't want that job. Woo.
No, that's cool. So you kind of went from website to expanding into like the forum and into, I guess, what we label as a podcast, but a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. I was just talking to my wife about this last night, and she was like, it's weird to me that we're still calling it a podcast, but it's video on YouTube. And I'm like, so I didn't even realize where podcast came from. I was like, I don't know. Is this something to do with like an iPod? That seems weird, but it totally was. It came from like iPod broadcast.
What?
Is where the term podcast came from.
I didn't even know that.
So it was like, people are listening to audio on their iPod. And so it's weird that it's gone into now a video, and it's just kind of a term for like.
So would it be called a vodcast?
Probably.
Wow.
Come back for our next vodcast next week.
That would be hard to say all the time.
Yeah.
I'd get all tongue-tied. Vodcast, podcast.
Oh my gosh. So I guess what I was getting to, the YouTube channel is kind of where you've landed now.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And so you talked about being over 70,000 subscribers now?
We're at 77,278, but who's counting?
Exactly. Yep. I just saw your counter go up one more on your phone.
Actually,
No. But really, I mean, everybody is like, how everyone wants to know the secret sauce to growing a channel on YouTube and that kind of stuff. And we hear a lot about, it's all about consistency and these guys who started daily vlogs and that's how they blew up their channel. And then these other people who had a channel for 6 years and then suddenly it finally actually worked. So I guess what do you see as kind of what took your channel from where it started to where it is now? Were there any big, like, this kind of blew things up or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that?
Okay, so I was struggling for years to gain momentum.
Yeah.
But I will say that a lot of the things that people are saying online about building a YouTube channel, a lot of it is actually, I mean, it's pretty like straightforward.
Sure.
Consistency, making sure that you're, and this is one thing that I'll say, and maybe it's because I'm an audio guy, but people will forgive kind of not so good video.
Yep.
But if your audio is horrible, like people don't even want to tune into that. They don't want to watch
No,
it. So,
well, it's hard to listen to.
exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I found out, in a weird way, this one guy was like, yeah, I put you on to fall asleep every night. I was like, wow, I'm that boring. Okay. He was like, no, it's something about your voice, but
It's either boring or it's just a little bit awkward.
right. And I was like, I don't know how to take this man. But, the consistency thing is good, but having great audio and okay video is acceptable, I think. And a lot of people, they get hung up on, I've got to have the best of the best.
Yeah.
And when you watch certain channels, I mean, some of these guys are going to tell you, much like the forum I was telling you, well, you got to buy a red camera and you got to have a Sennheiser K520 and you got to have, and at the end of the day, like there's channels that are blowing up right now that are just still using their cell phones.
Yeah.
And cell phones these days have gotten way better, way better. And there's little interfaces you can plug in there. Brief plug for IK Multimedia.
Uh-huh.
Love the company.
Uh-huh.
Not sponsored, but definitely affiliated with. And I always plug their stuff because they are just an awesome company. But they have things right now that you can plug into your phone and plug XLR mics into.
Yeah.
Take them out live. They're battery powered. So I actually did we did a sponsored deal together where we talked about a studio without walls, and it was right after the COVID had kind of let up and everybody
Oh, nice. Yeah.
able to come out, I took this thing out with my phone and made a song out in nature. It was like, you know, it's time for you guys to get out of the doors, out the house, and go make some music.
Uh-huh.
And that was super fun. But so yeah, the consistency, great audio quality, okay video quality. But the main thing is finding like the topics that interest you first and foremost, because if it's something that you're not even interested in, that's going to come across on camera.
Yeah.
And it's obviously going to be something too that, because people are going to see that, they're going to be like, yeah, I'm not buying this guy.
Yeah. You can tell when people are authentic.
Exactly.
Pretty quickly.
Exactly. And that's probably, if I had to pin it off on one thing that I think has helped my channel to gain momentum, or to keep at least what I do have,
Yeah.
is the authenticity. When people tune in, they know I've cried before when we're listening to songs.
Yeah.
I tell like deep stories about myself, about my past, that most people would not tell. Like, you know, my past of drug addiction and alcoholism, and how I overcame that, how God helped me through that. And so there's authenticity has to be baked in there. Like if you're doing it just for money, people are going to know.
Yeah.
But that's also the beauty of it, is if you're doing something that you love to do, it's like not only does the content come easier, but then like as the authenticity is there, as all of these other puzzle pieces start to come into play, people themselves start to gather around you. And the old saying, birds of a feather flock together. You start to find like at least I found this community of awesome individuals started coming up around me and was like, dude, we love what you're doing. We're rallying behind you. We want to support you some way.
Yeah.
And like, I wasn't out there being like, hey, buy this and buy that.
Yeah.
And I had people going, dude, why are you not selling your courses?
Oh,
I
yeah.
have courses. And I'm like, I don't want to be a salesman. And they're like, well, you need to start doing it. And so, but then I had a subscriber, and this is where I was about 10,000 subscribers. We had a huge celebration on a live stream. My live streams are way goofy. They're crazy. We have a wheel of awesomeness where I take on a different persona. I become Casey Kasem. We're going to spin the wheel of awesomeness. And then we spin the wheel. Whatever the wheel lands on, that's what we do. But for this one, we actually had a balloon pop where behind me I had this huge board of balloons, and I would pop a balloon and someone in the chat would win something that was in the balloon.
Oh, nice.
Just crazy stuff to have fun and goof off. More to goof off. Okay, I like goof. But still a class clown. But yeah, we was celebrating that 10,000 subscriber stream, and one of my subscribers reached out to me. Shout out to the Minister of Badness, as he goes by. Excellent musician, excellent producer, by the way. He's actually created a course on our VIP membership on vocal delays, and the dude knows what he's doing. He's good. But he was like, dude, why don't you do a reaction video? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I am not a reaction.
Everybody's doing this.
Exactly. I was like, I am not doing this. If we're going to do this, like, it's got to be unique.
Yeah.
That's the only way. He goes, what if I gave you the raw tracks to Michael Jackson's Billie Jean? I about fell out of my chair.
And you're like, no, that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. I was, no, sorry. No, conversely, I was like tripping over myself to get to the phone. I was like,
Yeah.
how fast can we get these tracks? So I was like, now hold on a minute. These are the original multi-tracks, like from the studio. And he's like, yeah, send them over. You know,
Yeah.
that can definitely be a great way to react in a different way, because at that time, most of the reactions are people pull up a song that they've never heard.
Right.
And they're like, wow, this song is great. Wow, ooh, wow, ooh. You know, and that's all fine and dandy. I've got sucked into that black hole of nothingness before.
Yeah, but there's not a whole lot of content
Exactly.
there, really.
It's like after a while, you're like, okay, it's obvious that this is, like, I should be doing dishes right now. You know, I've got clothes to fold. But so he sent me the tracks. I flew them into Cakewalk by BandLab. That's my DAW of choice, or my digital audio workstation for people who may not know what that term is. And basically, it's just a way to take single audio files. You fly them into this program. It's just a computer program, and it allows you to then manipulate those audio files.
Yeah.
Add reverb, effects, whatever that might be. And which is essentially what mixing is and mastering is. So it's all about manipulating audio. Well, the beautiful thing is I fly these tracks in there, and they are the original tracks. Like, I start from bar one, and you hear Bruce Sweetin go, Billie Jean, take one. And I'm like, what? I mean, I literally like just stopped it and was like, I just heard Bruce Swedien talking to Michael Jackson in the studio years ago. Blew my mind. I was like, yes, we can do something with this.
Yeah.
So instead of just reacting to a song that I'm pulling off of iTunes or
Right.
that's in my, my folders or whatever, I'm actually listening to the raw studio tracks. So I turn that around into, instead of it's just a reaction, it's a raw track reaction.
Yeah.
So then I posted the Michael Jackson Billie Jean video, and at that time my video quality was not the greatest. Thanks to Ryan Furr Creative for coming down and helping me out with that. But my audio was still great. That was the main thing that mattered.
Yeah.
And I put it up there, just thought, you know what, I'm just going to make a quick video about it just to see what happens. And my twist on this, my unique twist, is going to be that not only are we going to listen to the tracks, but I'm going to talk about, from a producer standpoint, from a musician and a mix engineer, like, why did they make those decisions? Why did they record that sound? Because a lot of times you hear these sounds that are in these songs and you're like, that doesn't even work. Like, what were they thinking? But then you put it in the whole mix and you're like, what? Genius. Which, if anybody has ever heard any Michael Jackson songs, you know that Quincy Jones and Michael himself, I've done some demos. We've done some raw track reactions of some Michael Jackson demos where he was just doing it in his home studio, which I'm sure his home studio was nothing like mine.
Yeah, not too shabby, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've just got a couple $1,000,000 in this, But even Michael himself had an amazing ear for music and for production himself. And then he would just take it to Quincy, and Quincy was like, yeah, we need to add in a violin right here, and let's go ahead and put a bass solo right there. Let's do this, this, and this. And before you know it, like, to my surprise, though, I'm flying these tracks in, they sound mixed. It sounds like the finished production minus some reverb and a little bit of volume.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what just happened? Like, this is what good recordings sound like. So yeah, shortly thereafter, the video gets released. To my surprise, it blows up. Literally overnight, I wake up, my YouTube app is like flying off the handle. And I'm like, what is going on here? I've got 3,000, 4,000 notifications.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Especially on my channel.
Thank you, Michael Jackson.
Right. So I get back on there and I'm looking and I'm like, I went from 10,000 subscribers to 20,000 overnight, literally.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, holy smokes, what just happened?
Yeah.
I go back to the Michael Jackson video because I knew that's what had to have done.
Yeah.
I get on there and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's got 70,000 views overnight.
Yeah.
To where, like, now I think today, if I was to look on there, it's around 2 million views.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah, so it went viral.
That's incredible.
So, and then from there, of course, Michael Jackson fans and everyone else started flooding the channel. And they were like, do more,
Yeah.
do more, to the point where now I'm kind of like, oh my goodness,
We do somebody else.
which we have.
Yeah.
We've broke up the monotony quite a bit. We've got, not that Michael Jackson is monotonous in the least. I still love doing his, and we just released another one here recently with the Jackson 5 dancing machine.
Oh yeah.
And you get to hear Michael, and he was like, I think 6 or 7.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and you could tell, like, I'm not trying to be rude to the Jackson family, but you could tell, like, he was clearly the talent.
Oh yeah.
Like, the other brothers are doing a great job, don't get me wrong, but he's just, like, getting it.
Yeah.
Like, what? This kid has got it. So, yeah, we've done everybody from Elton John, Bob Marley, the Doobie Brothers, Prince, I already said Elton John, the Beatles. However, there's, like, the Beatles, Prince, and the Eagles. Immediately, as soon as the video is posted, it's gone.
Oh yeah.
YouTube blocks it.
Yeah.
So I still have the option to download it, thankfully. So then that's whenever I upload it to the VIP membership area. So if you're a VIP member, you get to see all of the videos that I've done commercial free, without any, commercials popping up, and no audio dropouts, because YouTube has done that too.
Oh yeah.
Especially with the Beatles. Like, there was a portion where John Lennon was just getting ready to sing, like, and I had his vocals in solo, and I get to hear it. But then the people that are watching the video are like, dude, you silenced the vocals. I'm like, no, that was YouTube. So that's the beauty of the VIP membership, is they get to be a part of that, as well as a lot of exclusive training and a huge community of awesome people that are just crazy about music. So
Yeah, that's cool. So, I mean, that was one thing I was going to ask. Like, you're at this point now, kind of, what's the plan moving forward? Do you have any new ventures in line with this YouTube channel and with your course and all of that kind of stuff? What do you got going on?
Yes, absolutely. So about 2 years into, this was at about six or 7,000 subscribers. I was putting out a lot of content about mixing and mastering, and was also giving huge shout outs to one of my online mentors, Warren Hewitt.
Yeah.
Produced Like a Pro. To my surprise, he reaches out to me one day, says, dude, I've been watching your channel. I love what you're doing. And I'm like, wait a minute. Warren Hewitt's watching my channel? Like, I'm nobody.
Back up for a second.
Right. And after I picked my jaw up off the floor, I responded to the email with shaky hands and bated breath, and he said he'd like to come on the show for an interview. And I was like, absolutely. So I bring him on, we get to talking. After the interview's over, we still talk for like an hour off camera. Come to find out, this guy is like one of the nicest audio engineers I've ever met in my life. Has no reason to be nice to me. He's a multi-platinum engineer. The guy has mixed people that I probably will never even get to sit in the same room with.
Yeah.
But he is so down to earth, so loving and just caring with his community, that he was like, I don't have anybody that's made a course on Cakewalk by BandLab. Would you make a course for Cakewalk by BandLab for the Pro Mix Academy? And I'm like, no, I don't got time. I got to fit that into my schedule with my Michael Jackson videos. So immediately I leapt on it. I was just like, yes. Reached out to BandLab and told them what was going on. They were like, oh, wow, that's super cool. So we made a course called the Ultimate Cakewalk by BandLab tutorial course that's on the Pro Mix Academy. And shortly thereafter, he's such a great guy. I've got him on speed dial. Sometimes I got questions or stuff like that. Like, to think of it, like right now, I've actually got Warren Hewitt's phone number. It's just, anyway, that all came about because of a YouTube channel, though. And that's where the opportunities can arise. And so from there, I mean, obviously it's turned into more than what I thought it was. It's turned into a business, and I never thought it would ever do that. So now it's like, well, how do I scale that? And how do I not necessarily circumvent YouTube?
Right.
Because you want to make money from YouTube, obviously, and you want to still keep posting videos, because that's the whole reason I got into it in the first place. I love doing that. I love helping people. So, but how do I, in an infrastructure like YouTube that's very unstable, because like some months you'll make a little bit, some months you'll make a lot, some months you won't do anything at all. So it's like, how do I create something that's more sustainable so that I can actually put something back into the business, so that I can actually host giveaways, so that I can, have the bandwidth to pay for a website that looks nice and a community that looks nice. And that's where I was like, okay, I've got a course, that's great, but I need to have that course under my own banner as well. I talked to Warren about it. He was like, yeah, dude, if you're going to do it, like, go all in. And he gave me a lot of pointers. He's always been really cool about that. Like, he's not out to just build a kingdom for himself. Like, all these people that he brings in under his wing to help, he's literally helping them, like, okay, now create your own thing. Yeah. Because he knows in the long run anyway, they're always going to point back to the guy that helped him get started. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And why wouldn't you? Yeah. And super smart business guy. But yeah, he was like, yeah, go all in for it. So I created an area on my website, which up until that point, I had like a Blogspot website.
Oh, yeah.
That I had coded myself with my little limited coding knowledge, and was like to make it look more like a website. So it worked, don't get me wrong, but I went with Kajabi, which is a great online hosting place where you can actually host all of it in one place. So they take care of the payments, they take care of the course hosting, they take care of the VIP membership, recurring fees. And so from there, I was like, well, I'm going to create a VIP membership. That way people have access to more than what they would get on YouTube. And I'm going to create some more courses. And then I started, much like Warren has done, I learned a lot from him. I was like, well, I'm going to start bringing in other people to help me with this. So going forward, to answer your question in a long-winded way, like I said, I love to talk. Going forward, some new things that are going to be happening as we roll out is the VIP community has just recently taken on a whole new look and feel. Thanks to Kajabi's newest update, it's absolutely amazing now.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I just unveiled it today on a live stream. So if you guys want to
nice.
check it out,
Yeah.
yeah, it's super cool. There's a way to like gamify it where people earn badges for commenting and sharing.
Okay.
And it's awesome. I love it. It's like everything I ever wanted. And so with the VIP membership, now that you have like a monthly sustainable income, then you can put that back into, okay, well now I can reach out, buy a couple of plugins and give them away to people.
Yeah.
And so it's a great way to sort of give back for people that are supporting the channel. But going forward, I'm looking at within probably the middle of the year, I want to have done at least a good portion of it. I'm working on what's called the Ultimate Gospel Production Bundle.
Okay.
And so I'm bringing in some of the best and brightest that I know within our organization as well as outside of our organization to really do like a phenomenal, like full-blown package deal on if you're going to create gospel music, this is how you do it.
Nice.
All the way
Yeah.
from like drums, guitar, vocals, how to MC a service, the soundboard, how to actually, make the sound good.
Yeah.
And so next weekend, we're going to be shooting the drum portion of that. Now, the cool thing that I'm doing that I haven't seen a lot of other people do is, so each person that I bring on, they automatically become an affiliate. So they can sell their own course. I'll get a portion of that and they get a portion of that. And we're splitting that 50-50.
Oh, okay.
So, and when I told Brother Mark Crowder about this, he's a minister, licensed minister, as well as a phenomenal singer. This guy can sing. He just released an album not too long ago called Faith Over Fear. And he's going to be talking a little bit about that in this course. But when I told him we were splitting it 50-50, he was like, what?
Yeah.
Like nobody's split stuff 50-50. I was like,
Yeah.
This guy is. I want to make it fair for the creators that are involved. But so what they'll do is they can sell their course, or if they run into somebody that's like, man, I'm really wanting to get into gospel bass, that he can be like, well, actually, my buddy Travis Dykes is working on that.
Yeah.
Here's a link for that. Then he gets a commission off of that.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
Travis gets commission. So it's like a way to reciprocate, show some love to everybody in the community that's creating the courses, as well as, give some good value to everybody. And then if they want to buy the bundle, which will be all of it together,
Yeah.
they'll just pay like one fee, and then they'll get all of it together. So going forward, I see a lot more of outside involvement, because I've come to that place, like where I'm sure you did with your business, where it's like, I can only edit so much. I
Oh,
can
yeah.
only shoot so much video. I
Yep.
can only come up with so many topics. I need some help here.
Yeah.
And now it's getting to the point where things are getting kind of out of hand. I looked at my wife. I was like, you're going to have to start handling emails. She was like, what? I'm like, well, you're really good at corresponding with people. You're really good on the business side of things, the numbers, because she does a lot of the numbers on the backside
Yeah.
of everything. Like she just did the taxes. Love you, dear.
Oh my gosh.
Love you, dear.
Yeah.
First year of like really doing the major taxes, because last year was the year that we blew up. And I was nervous, and I wasn't even in front of the computer.
Oh yeah.
Robert, we've got to get a handle on this. So they always say your first year is your hardest, though. We learned a lot. But yeah, going forward, we're gonna bring in some more outside influences. In fact, I'm gonna kind of spring this on you, but I'd love to have you inside the VIP membership to do even like a brief mini course on, because we have a lot of YouTubers
Oh yeah.
in the community.
Yeah.
To do something on maybe like lighting and video, and the guy knows what he's talking about.
We'd love to.
If you've seen my set lately, and you've seen I don't know why I'm looking at that camera. Like, I'm looking at you.
They're listening to you.
They're
It's
listening.
fine.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. We'd love to do that, and that's something we've even considered before about putting together a video course. And again, it's always the question of like, well, there's hundreds of other people out there doing the same thing and whatever, but I don't know. There's also the aspect that everybody looks at it a little bit differently, and personalities come into play.
But to that point, I mean, I would almost let me be the fire under your rear end.
Okay.
To tell you, okay, let me be that lighter that's held underneath your backside. Just do it, man. Not only are you good at teaching, I've seen your YouTube videos, not only are you good at teaching in a way to where people understand it, but you do have a unique take on it.
Sure.
And I think that's where a lot of people get caught in the weeds. They're like, I don't want to get started because everybody's doing it. And then we have imposter syndrome that kicks in. We have the fear of,
Oh yeah, that's always, yeah.
and you just have to push through it, because man, I dealt with that for probably the first 5 years of my YouTube channel, I'm like, all I'm doing is just what everybody else is doing. This is just stupid. What am I doing this for?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you come back down to like the nitty gritty of, okay, I started this to help people.
Yeah.
And even if I post a video and one person watches it and goes, hey man, because I watched your video, I went back and recorded my acoustic guitar again and now it sounds amazing. That was worth it.
That's what you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
But I would definitely encourage you to please do it, because not only is it, I think it's a disservice to those who know about your work and want to learn from you, but maybe don't have the time to sit down and maybe you would have time to sit down and do that. They would pay you a minimal fee one time to get some awesome nuggets of wisdom, you know, and be like, wow, I can take this and run with it. And who's to say that, you know, you might not be the one that spurs on the next Martin Scorsese, or I can't think of any famous directors right now. It was like they were there and then it was like, boom, they were gone.
Yep.
So, you know.
No, it is. And it's always the, you know, somebody else is always, you're looking at somebody else that's doing it better. But there's also always a matter of like, you can't expect even starting YouTube, you can't expect your first video to be on the level of this guy who's been doing YouTube for 15 years.
Exactly.
Like, and that's okay. Like, you got to start somewhere. And that's especially probably been part of my holdup with the course. One is just like you talked about, that you get busy enough where you don't feel like you have the time, or even if you do have the time, you don't feel like you can do it all well, which is another big thing, that if you're producing something like that, you know, you want it to be perfect and it's never going to be.
Right.
So you have to.
Well, I think there's an element to that that's, it's very true. But what I would say is, and sort of, I don't know if you've ever heard of Sean Cannell and the Think Media YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a lot of great content out there. One of the things that he says all the time, though, is you just got to hit record. And you got to punch fear in the face. If I've heard him say that 5 times, I've heard him say it 1,000,000 times. You just got to punch fear in the face, because really what it comes down to is it's a deep-rooted and inner fear of people aren't going to like this. It's not going to go over well. And what happens is it's the same way with songs. Like, I've released probably, I think 17 songs now are on iTunes and everywhere. They're everywhere. And those songs, every time I would go to hit that publish button, that, okay, this is going out to the world, I'd be like, but I need to go back and change this. But I can't hear the bass guitar in that one very well. My voice cracked right there. What am I doing? But I would immediately start to get feedback from people that was like, dude, I love the song. I love this. I love that. And for every one person that comments and goes, it's okay.
Yeah.
You got 10 more that's going to go, man, that was awesome. I got a lot out of it. And the main thing is that you've tried, because the more you do something, you know more than anyone else, I'm sure, the more you record videos, the more that you edit videos, the more that you record music, you start to develop this, like, stuff just starts to become like second knowledge. It's like muscle memory.
Yeah.
I just recently started using DaVinci Resolve and switched over from HitFilm because it was getting all crazy. And at first I thought that it was going to be this huge transition. And now I've got keyboard shortcuts where literally I'm just like not even looking at the keyboard. Yeah. Just muscle memory. And I can crank out, you know, an editing in at least 12 hours now instead of, you know, 74. So I edit a lot.
Yep. Well, that gets me you talked about the Think Media channel. So I'll kind of wrap us up. I don't want to have every conversation because I want to have you back again.
Awesome.
But let's end with, give me your top 5 YouTube channels that you follow right now. No requirement that my channel is on that, keep in mind.
I do follow your channel.
So you talked about Think Media. I don't know if that's one of them, but or give us top 3 if 5 is a little too much.
Okay, I will, but I also want to give a caveat to that.
Okay.
So for individuals who are wanting to start something and you're wanting to get out there, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's good to be subscribed to people that you aspire to be like.
Yeah.
But there will come a point in time where you will have to hit the unsubscribe button because it's going to bring you down, for one. You're going to be like, they just posted a video. They got 375,000 views and it was trash, in my opinion. I worked 16 hours on this video and it's got 100 views.
Yeah.
So there comes a point in time for your own mental health where you have to unsubscribe, not to mention that's also going to bring it back into your court It's going to put your unique twist on your content. So I want to say all that before I say this. Top channels. By far, obviously, Produce Like a Pro, Warren Hubert. Definitely right up there, top of the list. You know, Tim Schmoyer, Video Creator Labs. Love that guy's work. He's very down to earth. He also homeschools like we do.
Okay.
So that was always a super cool. But he's also very like well-rounded in his, like they've got a great podcast too.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, there's so many. How do I narrow it down?
You almost have to be in categories. So you got audio, you got video. What's another one you watch all the time?
Okay. As far as gaming channels, Mr. Beast.
Okay. Yep.
Mr. Beast.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's definitely in my top thing.
And I'm and I would have to say too, like with Mr. Beast videos, I don't watch his videos just because they're crazy, and most of them are.
Yeah.
And I love the aspect that like he's giving stuff back to the community that he's a part of. Mm-hmm. And then there's sometimes I'm like, really, did you have to give $1,000 to the guy that's driving the Bugatti? Why'd you do that?
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a lot of channels that I watch to learn from too. And
oh yeah.
Oh man, there's another one right there that was just on the tip of my tongue. As far as Sound on Sound, they have awesome podcast and an awesome YouTube channel. IK Multimedia, yet again, shout out to them guys. Awesome YouTube channel. The Home Studio Simplified channel, I don't know if you check that guy out, but man, I'm subscribed to this guy.
I've heard it's really good, but then somebody else said the guy is super annoying, so don't bother with it. But
I turn his voice up though, and then I fall asleep to it. So.
That's perfect. We'll put a link in the description for that guy,
right.
just because.
Yeah, those are some of the main channels, and then for my audio video stuff, I always default back to Peter McKinnon.
Of course, like everybody else.
But he's one of those that I had to unsubscribe from because I was like, okay, this guy, like there's a certain level that you reach where you're like, I'm not going to get to that level because I don't have the money to do that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I have to just kind of pull back, and every once in a while I'll still check him out. Daniel Schiffer, that's another great one. Love his videos.
He's been kind of MIA for a little while, it seems like. But
just recently came back. I love his product photography and stuff like that. I'm probably more of a video nerd sometimes than I think that I'm an audio nerd sometimes.
Yeah.
It's, and then Dunna Did It. He's got a cool channel. Love that. And then if I had to give a shout out to a local channel that I love because like my heart's near and dear to him, it's called the link provided in the description. It's called the, what do they call it? They were called the Seymour Skate Rats.
Oh.
But it's actually called SDR Films, I think.
Oh, okay.
Don't quote me on that. We'll have that link in the...
We already did quote you.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
But
crap.
We'll find it.
Anyway, they have it's a local skate park.
Oh, okay.
That of a bunch of great kids that have put together these videos. And some of these videos, I'm telling you, top notch. Editing and video quality as well, but
nice.
The stuff they are doing, like there's a couple of them I know for sure could go pro right now, and the reason why it's so near and dear to my heart, and this is not to be braggadocious or nothing, but the city had actually left this skate park unfinished for over 10 years.
Oh, okay.
And it was a memorial skate park. There were two young men that had actually died, Zach Grubb and Todd Sherman, and they said. They were both skateboarders, avid skateboarders and BMX bikers, and they were like, hey, we're going to build a skate park for these kids, memory of them. Well, then it went unfinished after phase one because they realized the people in the city was like, oh, yeah, it's just concrete. And they didn't realize skate park is not just concrete.
It takes a little more than that.
So, long story short, I brought my son to the park one day, and I heard a bunch of skateboards clacking. I used to be a skater back in the day, so I walk over the hill, and I'm like, we got a skate park. What? This is what we were trying to get whenever I was a kid. And I go down and I start talking to some of the young people, and their heads are just low. They're like, yeah, it's not finished. I'm like, well, this is awesome. They're like, no, this is what it was supposed to. And like literally these kids were carrying like plans on their phones and stuff. Carrying around, this is what it was supposed to be 10 years ago. And I'm like, why has this not been finished? So I immediately left from that day with I don't know, call it righteous indignation, whatever you want to call it. I put on a blazer, put on a nice pair of shoes, and I marched into the office of the park and recs director and was like, "Why is this skate park not finished?"
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "And you are?" Long story short, I had so many people up against me that said, "You'll never get it accomplished. You'll never get it done. The city doesn't want it, this and that." Within a year, that skate park was finished.
Wow.
Over $200,000 raised
Oh my gosh.
for those kids down there. And they have taken it and used it every single day.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have got some amazing stuff on that YouTube channel. So you guys need to check that
That's
out.
awesome. We definitely will. Well, cool, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming. We will definitely have you on again.
Awesome.
And yeah, appreciate it, man.